So I just got a question on Tumblr. Actually, I didn't just get it. I got it a few months ago. I think like 2 months ago, and I never answered the question from this kid on Tumblr. He said very nice things. I'm gonna sit here on this bench and read it to you guys. All right. So we're gonna get into this question because it's a good one, and it's one that I just see coming back in so many forms. It's basically about motivation and inspiration. So anyway, asked, yo, I like your YouTube channel and the DuBL D's podcast a ton. Thank you. And I have a question about your passion for art. Was there ever a point in high school or college where you questioned art or became disinterested? I used to study portraiture and worked at it for all of high school and before I started college, but I lost interest because I grew frustrated with my lack of progress. The desire to draw again always gets me, especially when I see work of others that I think is really beautiful. If you were in the situation, would you go back to your old passion or try and search for something new out of worry that you'd lose interest again and therefore time? That's a big ass question, dude. It's huge. You might want to segment that one. It's hard to, it's like 3 thoughts. I know the answer is based on how much art means to me and whether or not there's pollen floating in my throat. I know the answer is based on how much art means to me and whether or not the time spent honing my craft is worth it. But I'd like your insight if you're not too busy. Just quit, just give up. It's over. You'll never be an artist. I'm joking, of course. I'm just gonna go down your questions like one by one. Was there ever a point in high school or college when I questioned art or became disinterested? 100%. All the time. And if I've given you some illusion like that's never happened to me, that means that I'm doing something right. But I mean, it's constant. You're always gonna have the resistance. Some people call it the resistance, some people call it the little hater. People call it all sorts of things. Some people call it being a bitch and just not fulfilling your destiny. It's all of those things. Or it could be none of those things. It could be that you're not in your right field. So I'll tell you a little bit about my college experience. Just real quick, I was lazy as shit. I spent all my time playing video games and looking for girls to talk to on the internet. That's what I would spend most of my time doing. I wasn't drawing that much. I was drawing just like casually, like once a week or something. Drawing was like a secondary thing. I was drawing the way I go to movies now, which is like once every week, once every 2 weeks. That's how I used to draw. For some reason, I never questioned why I was a studio art major or my desire to do bigger things. But I'll admit that when I was in college, I think my understanding of what it would take to become a professional artist was so, like, in hindsight, it was like foolish of me to think that I'd be able to get to any sort of position I was happy with without working my balls off. Like that was something that just didn't cross my mind at the time. But yeah, there were times I became disinterested because I thought other people were better than me. Sometimes it still happens to me where I look at someone like James Jean and I'm like, I could never do that shit. It doesn't bother me as much as I used to because, I mean, I'll tell you more about it later in this video, but I hope that answered the first part of that question. Got frustrated with your lack of progress. I mean, it's just like weight loss. Like you're gonna experience plateaus, but sometimes when you experience plateaus, you gotta experiment artistically. It's like if you're just drawing, I shit on photorealistic drawings and stuff like that. If you're just doing portraits of your girlfriend, you gotta start experimenting and doing other stuff. Like go out, draw some leaves, draw a car, draw while you're inside of a car, draw birds, draw like what you think birds look like without actually looking at one. That sounds awful back there. What is that? Sounds like that car is dying. If you were in the situation, would you go back to your old passion or try and search for something new out of the worry that you'd lose interest again and therefore time? Always go for the new thing. And like all that stuff about portraiture, if you're bored by it and you know you can render someone well, and you can do your life drawing and things look like how you expected them in your head, if you know the fundamentals, then go out and enjoy yourself and experiment and do something that you actually like. Why are you in this? Don't put yourself in a position where you're drawing a bunch of shit that you don't care about. That's like, it's toxic, and it's something I wish someone had told me before, because I've been through this where I was trying to draw like everyone else, and I was trying to make illustrations like Noah Bradley, and I was trying to do concept art because I thought that stuff was cool. But the reality is that that's not me. That's not what that's not what I was meant to do. That's not what I enjoy doing. I don't want to do 250-hour-long paintings that look like a sprawling landscape, because I can't do it. Like Noah Bradley does that already. I don't have that in me. So basically, you have to know yourself. You have to know what you're good at and what you're bad at, and what really makes you want to work. You're gonna have to find the thing that makes you want to put 40 hours into it. Because I can put probably 100 hours into an animation about a bunch of rappers stuck in a video game, but I can't do, you know, 100 hours of just a still frame of them. So this has all been a learning experience for me, but this is just over the past, like, I'm 28 now, and this is only like 2-3 years ago I figured this out, that like I'm an animator. I like for things to be moving, and I like for things to be moving and talking, and for my voice to be involved with it and all that stuff, for me to be interested. I hope that response wasn't too scatterbrained. It probably was. But the point is, all I can leave you guys with is two things. So this is kind of, this is functional. This isn't like, I'm not talking so much about like the philosophical side of motivation right now. I'm talking about the technical aspects. It's just two things. Get your fundamentals down, which means that at any point in time, if you're, I can only speak to artists, a visual artist, you have to get your fundamentals down, which means that if I put glasses in front of you, if I put a person in front of you or a car, be able to draw that convincingly. Just be able to do that shit. That's the boring stuff that's gonna take you like 5-10 years to learn. Figure that shit out and learn it. After that, in conjunction with it, experiment and do things that you enjoy, and that's where your style is gonna come out. That's where you're gonna find stuff that you enjoy. But in my opinion, both of those things have to link up in order for you to make stuff that's really good. So yeah, and feel free to ask questions here, or not on Tumblr, but like Twitter, Facebook, all that stuff. I also have an email. All that stuff is in the show notes below. But thanks for asking questions and all that stuff. I gotta go eat lunch because I'm exhausted.
What I look like, a violin?
Keep it, it's yours.
Hmm?